and they crashed the system. Okay. And so what we all learn from that is if you don't have some of the cybersecurity on yourself personally, protection. Okay. But in a business, you can run in a protection mindset. The third type of mindset is retreat. I think I'm going to scale back a little. I want to vacation more. I think it's okay if my business drops some transactions. I want to step back. I want more time. I'm going to maybe start thinking about bringing in somebody else to help take over things. And I'm going to just kind of retreat a little bit in the way I run my business. And then the fourth psychology of running a business is surrender. I quit. Some agents retire and they say, enough's enough. It's time. The average age of real estate agents today is 57. Okay. And we all know there's a lot of, I'm getting one of the old guys. I'm 58 years old. Right. And so the reality is there's a lot of people that are 60, 70, 75 years old in real estate, and it's time to, enjoy their life. Okay. With what's going on in the industry, there may be a fair mass of agents that are forced to surrender. Okay, it's just the reality of it. The reality is that if you don't run a good business and if you don't have good generation systems, with the changes that NAR it looks like may happen, there's going to be a fair amount of brokerages, big teams, and individual agents that will be forced to surrender. Now, I would like to think that everyone we work with does surrender someday and they ride off into the sunset with a big bank balance and big retirement funds and they go enjoy their life. Like, I would love to see people do that. But you have to decide. Okay. It is natural when something comes at us to try to downgrade what we're doing. Oh, maybe I just better protect, right? Maybe I better back up and not spend some money. Our belief is that when that's happening, we probably go counterintuitive to that, and we probably should think expansion right now. Okay. If you're still in making money and you still want to grow a company and you want to increase your income and you've got big lofty goals, think expansion right now. Okay. Warren Buffett, we all, whether you like him or not, he has done a good job in creating wealth for himself and for the companies he runs. And he runs on a simple model. When everybody else is walking, I run. When everybody else is running, I walk. Right? And the whole platform for his investment strategy is that mantra. So in our world, we start thinking this is a time to run when everybody else is backing up. But you have to decide, and only you can decide which one you're in. If you're not conscious about it and you're not aggressive, you'll probably slip down a notch or two right now. If you just okay, so by a show of hands, or I want you to ask yourself, how much have you read or watched, or have you gotten into the sensationalism that's going on with this NAR thing? Have you slipped into the rabbit hole? It's dangerous, right? I can guarantee you right now, we could go on a platform and find somebody to say, this is the best thing that's ever happened. And we can also find somebody that says, the world is going to die as we know it. And I'll bet you can find both stories today. Well, what are those stories backed by? Who's promoting them? What's their agenda? Okay. I'm going to create my story. And my story is to stay out of that stuff until we're sure what's happening. I would not go down the rabbit hole too far, with a couple of exceptions, and I'll show you what they are. Okay. Here's something we know. Okay. This has been our world forever. In the Mike Ferry world, we used to say listings are the name of the game. Then we started saying listings are how you stay in the game. I'm going to be very bold. Listings are the game. Okay. Is anybody here slightly more interested in listing a lot more properties based on what's happening in the world today? Okay. All I know is if I list 100 homes a year, I'm pretty sure I can get my 3% no matter what happens on the other side. And if I list 100 homes a year and I get my 3% on the listing side, even if it's complete chaos on the buyer side of the transaction, if I have 100 sellable listings, I'm getting my money. Does it make sense? So what we want you to think about right now is this ratio. agents should have at least 70% of their business listings sold, at least 70% listings sold, and 30% buyer sales. Okay, 30% buyer sales. What we know is that for a big part of the real estate history, there was usually about 40% of the population of realtors was really interested in listing, and about 60% gravitated towards the buyer side. In the last 20 years, there's less than 5% of the agents spend the majority of their day working on listing property. Less than 5%. 95% of the agents are trapped in some form of a bubble, the Zillow bubble, the Realtor.com bubble, the big team bubble, the sit open house, the waiting bubble, and that all gravitates towards buyers. Well, in our world, if you gravitate and you understand and learn how to list properties, you are safe because you control inventory. And if you control inventory, they can't touch you. They can't touch you because if you have a well-priced inventory, the buyer will find you. Okay? They will find you. So we recommend that if you're not, I don't know where you're at on the spectrum today with that, but we recommend that you get to at least 70% of your income comes from listings sold and 30% of your income comes from buyer sales. Okay, so you need to get there because if you do, you're safe. All right, you're safe. Do you guys typically have a stronger spring market? Is spring usually a good time around that Boston area? Okay, spring, we're in it right now, aren't we? Okay, in our world, we've been tracking numbers forever, and what we know is that the majority of real estate agents do 70% of their business. 70% of their money is earned in a 5 to 6 month window. Most agents earn the majority of their income in a 5 to 6 month window. Is that 5 to 6 month window right now? Especially in the Northeast where there's snow and cold and all that stuff, right? Does the world normally open up a little more in March, April, May, June, July, and everybody think it's time to sell? Okay, so if we have throughout a year, if there's any windows that it's mandatory that we're on our game, we have to be on our game, we should be on our game March, April, May, June, July, shouldn't we? If there's like, hey, there's sometimes I'm not quite sharp. Well, okay, be sharp and be unsharp in January, February, March. Be sharp in October, November, December. But you have to be sharp this time of year, don't you? You want to hear the irony of it? Here's the irony of it. Most real estate agents go on long vacations in May, June, and July. Like it makes no sense to us. Most of the people say it's time to sell, and most real estate agents say, well, it's spring break. I got to disappear for 10 days, and we go with the kids for the summer for 10 days. It doesn't make a lot of sense to us. We have our major business event, like one of our major events of the year in July every year. And we fight hard to keep all of our agents. You're coming to Las Vegas in July. This is business time. This isn't disappear for six days, 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because it's the selling season. So have you outlined your selling season this year? Okay, this spring is going to be one of the most important springs in the last 15, 20 years when it comes to being sure you're here. Be sure you're taking action because of all the chaos that's going on out there. Okay. Would it be safe to say if you had a whole pool of buyers sitting on the fence right now that you've been talking to for some time, would it be safe to just introduce the thought that, hey, come mid-July, there's going to be a decision that might end up costing you even more money? Like, would you say that to a buyer? I would. Hey, listen, there's some things going on in the industry where they're actually contemplating that buyers may have to pay commissions. So can you imagine not only having to compete for a house and all the money you have to pay for a house, but also have to figure out how to get the house with commissions? Maybe you should buy a house right now. I would call every buyer lead I had and suggest the thought because that's very likely. Okay. Now is the time to be on your A game. Right now. Okay. I wrote this note. We all have some form of a database, past clients, center of influence. We all have that. Shouldn't every one of them be contacted right now? Shouldn't you talk to every single person in your past client, center of influence, everybody you've ever worked with? All the like now is the time to go down your phone book, down your CRM, go down everybody you have and talk to them about what their plans are, what they want to do this year, and ask for referrals. Okay. I would suggest that you come up with a really strong, energetic, enthusiastic, nice big topic of value, something really valuable that you want to talk to everybody you've ever worked with, dialogue. And I would contact every person in my database and talk to them by the end of April. Okay. Ask for referrals. Here's an example. So, Bob and Mary, can I share with you one of my favorite things to do in real estate? Oh, sure, Tony. What do you got? God, I gotta tell you, I love sticking up for older people. Okay. Man, I don't know if you've noticed, but in the business world, older people get taken advantage of at times, and I have a real challenge against that. My job is to stick up for people. If somebody has lived in a house for 30 years, it's time to hop in the motorhome, travel the world, or maybe it's time to scale down now that the kids are gone, or maybe their health isn't quite what it used to be and they don't want to take care of the big house. I like sticking up for those people. So could I ask you who you might know that fits that category? Now, is that a strong ask for referrals? Strong. Okay. Right. Contact every single person in your database, come up with some great topic of value, something that would be very interesting to them, very important, and then ask for referrals. You got to kick off the year right. I made this note. A lack of strong personal development opens the door for self-doubt. A lack of strong personal development leaves the door wide open for self-doubt. If you don't find yourself in a really strong, if you're not developing as a person, learning some scripts, trying a new workout program, learning a new language, studying something at the college, learning more about the real estate industry, dialing in a better role play and practice scenario, getting a stronger set of business sources put together. If you're not learning and growing and developing as a business person, the door is wide open for doubt. Okay. And right now, there is an entire public persona that's going to shove the doubt down your throat. Okay. So the public, the news, the media, they're going to try to shove this doubt right into you. So what I'm suggesting is you create for yourself a very dynamic personal development plan for the next few months. Maybe you start an exciting new workout campaign. Maybe you start taking some additional sales training. Maybe you get involved with us at a high level. One thing we do with our coaching clients is we make sure they're developing personally all the time. Like we hold them to it. And whenever you're in the middle of getting better as a business person, they can't penetrate your brain with the doubt because you're growing. So ask yourself, what has been my personal development plan the last few months? And what should it be going forward? Create one for yourself. And I bet most of us can look back to a time where we were really engaged in learning something. Remember how when you were in the business and everything was brand new and you were learning the whole thing, everything from how does this work to who do I call to what do I do? Do you notice how confident you were in that time as you were spending all your time learning? Learning equals confidence. We say this all the time in MFO. Knowledge equals confidence, ignorance equals fear. The more knowledgeable you're getting about the industry you've chosen, the less fear you have. Okay, so create a personal development program for yourself. I wrote down next, this is on the listing side. I'm assuming you all have a strong desire to become a great listing agent. Okay, if I could beg you to do anything, become a great listing agent. Okay, I had all my coaching calls this week. I coached 50 of the what I consider the best agents in the world. Okay. And I said, hey, so I just want to touch this really briefly in our coaching call today. How deep into the weeds have you gotten about this NAR thing? This is what I heard this week. I wrote down some of the comments. This is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I'm taking my business to the next level. I bet I get more listings. I'll bet hundreds of listing agents leave the business, more for me. This is another time for me to take my business to the next level. I cannot wait for this thing to get started so I can start making some more money. There's thousands of agents in my market that need to leave anyway. These are all the things that my clients that I coach, they said about this NAR thing, right? Knowledge equals confidence, ignorance equals fear. Okay. So what I would suggest if you decide to be a great listing agent, you need to come up with 5 sources of listings at all times. Okay, we promote that you should have five places that you get listings from at all times. The only one that we consider mandatory is that you get listings from your database. Okay, the one source that we say you have to do is your database. You got to learn to talk to your database, call them, talk to them every quarter, ask them for referrals, keep in touch with them, be sure and list their property when it's time, right? That's mandatory. But you need at least 4 other sources that consistently give you listings. Okay, expireds, for sale by owners, all of the investor absentee VRBO world. Okay, all of the probate trust senior world. Those are great sources. Just listed, just sold campaigns around your listings and your sales. Okay, we actually have a report, and if you haven't seen it, go to mikeferry.com, go to the resources tab, resources. Under the resources, there's a section called reports, Mike Ferry reports. And one of those reports is titled Every Possible Way to Find Listings. Every possible way to find listings. And what I would suggest you do, if you want to become bulletproof, you get 4 or 5 sources of finding listings consistently, and you work those sources nonstop. Okay. My sources, when I was actively producing, I would list anywhere between 140 and 160 houses a year. And the sources that were operating for me were my past clients, of course. I had a very strong, what I called an investor group, absentee owners, for rent by owners, VRBOs, and then just straight people that wanted to buy more investments. So that was a source, basically the investor source. I had a really strong, what I used to call jokingly was my old people source. Okay. Probate attorneys, trust attorneys, probate sales, people that owned homes for a long time. They were in houses for 20, 30, 40 years. I used to prospect all those people and work with that group of people that it was time to transition from their house that they had the kids in to a different place. That was a source. And then I did expired listings, and then I had a really strong just listed, just sold campaign around my listings and sales. Those were my 5 sources that produced the listings every year. So decide for yourself. Print that report out. Take a look at it. Decide where the 4 or 5 places you're going to start getting listings from. Okay. Mike will tell you, and this sounds, every time we say it, everybody goes, oh, that's not true. Mike, but I believe in it. Okay. Mike says that the reason the inventory has stayed low so long is we as agents don't talk to enough people. Okay. I believe in every market, everywhere in North America, there's thousands of people that would have normally sold, but because prices were going up and all the confusion and interest rates, and we're going to wait. I don't know how to get a replacement home. If we don't talk to those people, we can't help them. But if we talk to them, we can help them through that. You can't stop a flood. Okay. There's an amount of people that should sell their house every year, no matter what. Apparently it's about 4.5 million people have to sell their home every year. You can't stop that if you wanted to. Okay, let me ask you a question. If somebody gets a job transfer and they're going to move from Boston down to Florida, do they care really that the interest rates are high? I mean, they care, but they don't care. Okay, if you're 70 years old and you live in a two-story home and you had knee surgery and you can't get up the stairs anymore and that you're rattling around, the kids are all gone, do you really care about all this stuff? No, you want to get into a single-story home that you can take care of. You can't stop people's desire to move, but man, can you sure be sure to talk to enough of them? If you don't talk to enough people every year, how can you possibly find out who wants to sell? And that's Mike Ferry's contention, one of the reasons why the inventory has stayed so low. Okay, I'll bet you there's 5,000 people in Boston right now that in a couple of years are going to say this: man, I wished you told me to move. I wished you'd talk to me about this. Geez, why didn't you give me better advice? Okay, go out and talk to people, right? I wrote down this step. Okay, we have what is called a 5-step sales process. Okay, we used to promote it pretty much only on the listing side, but I'm going to suggest today, with everything that's going on, that you create it on the buyer side too. Okay, so we have a 5-step process. Pre-qualify the client 100%, asking all of the pre-qualifying questions you need to ask. Okay, we've got a full seller pre-qual. We've got all those scripts. Every question you should ask a seller to pre-qual them. We also have a script of every question you should ask a buyer to pre-qualify them. Not for the financing. Andrew takes care of that. We're not pre-qualifying for the financing on the buyer side. We're pre-qualifying them to see if they're going to play the game right and be able to buy a home. There's a lot more than if they're financially qualified, right? Right. So, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, would you be able to break free from work to go look at a home if it pops on the market right away? Well, no, we can't do that. We're only going to look on evenings and weekends. You're not going to buy a home. In today's world, you're not going to buy a home. Are you prepared to offer really competitive price and remove all the contingencies? No, we're going to negotiate. We always negotiate and we want all of our stuff. You're not going to get to buy a home, right? So we have to pre-qualify them 100%. That's number one. Step 2 is we recommend you create and get in their hands a really strong, either a pre-listing package or a pre-buyer appointment package. Okay? You got to create a package that you get in their hand that describes all of your services, what you do, how it works, the whole thing. Hey guys, if we have to start getting earned a commission from a buyer, are we going to have to show them our value? Are we going to have to be able to show a buyer why would they pay me to show them houses? And we have to be able to, now this sounds bad, so don't send me a nasty email. I don't care, okay? Most buyers see us as a lockbox key. That's what they think we are, a lockbox key. You get me in the houses. That's what you do, right? And that's not true. We know that's not true. But we need to create a package for a seller or a package for a buyer, and we need to get that in their hands to show them our value. Step 3 is we need to call back and confirm the appointment. Okay? I'm going to suggest to you right now that you don't work with any buyer unless they come to your office for an in-office presentation. Okay? You've got to get a buyer in, you've got to sit them down, you got to make it formal, you got to present, show them all the advantages, show them how you run your process, show them how you look for homes, show them that you know what you're doing, showing them about the physical inspection and about all the contracts. You need to show your value, and you can only do that in a formal presentation. Okay, so we pre-qual 100%. If they're not qualified, we're not spending. Are we going to spend any time with a non-motivated buyer these days? Okay. I think the writing is on the wall that if you run around in circles with a non-motivated buyer from now on, you're really in trouble. Okay. So pre-qualify 100%, send them a great package in advance, call back and confirm the appointment you're going to have with the seller at the house or with the buyer in your office. Okay. You're going to create a pre-appointment routine for yourself, which is step 4. Show up mentally, physically, emotionally. You're going to create a routine for yourself before the appointment that you get your head right. It's game time. It's game time. With the buyer, game time means you get to the house and you open the door. That's not getting your head right. We need to now get your head right so you can present to them and show them your value, right? And then step 5, we recommend that you create a canned presentation, either a canned listing presentation or a canned in-office buyer presentation. Canned. I'll give you an example. I'll share with you mine. It's been forever. I haven't used it in about 3 years, but so thank you so much for having me over. I'm so excited about getting your home on the market and getting it sold. Do you mind if I go take a look at the house while you get set up at the kitchen table? Guys and gals, thank you so much for having me over. I wrote down 3 really important questions for you. Do you absolutely have to sell your home? Will you price your home at a price that will cause it to sell, or do you want it to sit on the market for a long window of time? Do you want me to handle the sale for you? Okay. At the end of my presentation, one of 3 things is going to happen. You're going to have the opportunity to go ahead and list your home with me. You may decide not to list your home with me, and decide not to take your listing. Any one of those is fine. Okay. Canned presentation. Buyer presentation would be the same thing. Okay. So I wrote down, create a 5-step process with a seller and a 5-step process with a buyer. If you do that, you'll be one of the best presenting agents in your area. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Okay. I wrote this down. In the spring market, we recommend a little kind of a procedure. It's like a little procedure we recommend you go through. It's like this. You start your mornings very early. In the spring, we recommend that you get up earlier. Okay. Most of my agents are up at between 4:30 and 5 a.m. Okay. Most of the agents I work with show up at their office at 7 a.m. dressed, ready to go. Okay. In that morning routine, we suggest this little mental process, okay, which is start your day with goals and gratitude. So we recommend that you create an environment where every day you start your day writing down or visualizing or looking at your top goals that you'd like to achieve in your life or your business. Man, I want to do 30 deals this year. I want to buy that new boat. We're going to invest 100,000 into our retirement account. Start your day with goals and gratitude. We recommend you write down every morning 10 things that you're grateful for. 10 things that you're grateful for. Okay. We then recommend you get to the office and you see your day like this. The morning, from the time you get there until noon, is your time to go find business. From the time you get to the office until noon, you block that aside to find business. Prospecting, lead follow-up, sending out your postcards. Even if it's making your social media posts, whatever you say you do to find new business. From the time you get to the office until noon, you block everything else out and you find business. Okay. From noon until about 2 o'clock, we ask that you complete your admin. You do all of your administrative work in the middle of the day. The return the calls, the paperwork, the research, the files, the whatever. You've got from noon until 2 o'clock to do all of your admin work. Okay. Most agents that we know come into the office and the first thing they do is start admin. And there couldn't be a worse way to start your day. Right? Return emails. First thing in the morning? Gee whiz, you want to, hit me with a hammer. The worst thing you could possibly do. So in the middle of your day, you fight to push every bit of admin. You got to fight because it'll blow up on you. Push all of your admin to the middle of the day. And then in the afternoon, we recommend that you do business. You're on listing appointments. You're out showing buyers. You're out seeing the people, right? I made a list of things. I think that every agent should be out in the field doing something every afternoon, especially in the spring. Okay, so you're out on a listing appointment. I don't have one. You're out on a buyer appointment. I don't have one. Go see an expired or a for sale by owner. Go to their door. Go to one of your past clients and say hi. Go preview some property. Go meet with some of your center of influence or business people. Go to some of the business social events that'll get you more business. Get out in the field every afternoon. Do you know that most agents aren't prepared to go out in the field because they won't dress up unless they have an appointment? Did you know that most agents won't dress up unless they have an appointment? We recommend that you put on your best business suit every day. Every day, get dressed up. Do you know how much this connects to this? This connects to this. Like it's for a long, long time, industry used to promote casual Fridays. Do you remember it? Okay. When did it turn into casual Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? When did that happen? Right? Did you know that in the industrial world where they said business, casual Fridays, their productivity dropped 15% on Fridays? Casual Fridays and their production dropped 15% because casual means mental too. So we recommend you get suited up every day, whether you have an appointment or not. How can you run out into the field and go do business if you have to go home and change first? Okay, so we recommend this routine. So I have a morning routine. It's goals and gratitude. I design a way to go find business until noon. From noon to 2 o'clock is admin. From 2 o'clock till the afternoon is go out and do business. And then every late afternoon, we recommend that you finish your day with a written critique of your performance. In writing, critique how you did today, and then decide what were your wins and accomplishments. How did you win? What was the best thing you did today? What did you accomplish today? What worked out really well? So you finish your day on a positive note. Okay. So if you'll run that simple routine with the way you run your business, if you use that kind of as a guideline, you'll make a lot more money. Okay. You'll make a lot more money. I wrote this down. I recommend that everybody create a 90-day production plan. April, May, June, 90 days, the best months of your market. April, May, June, the best months in Boston. I would create a 90-day production plan that's basically like this. What are my production goals for these 3 months? How many listings will I take? How many sales? How much money, right? What are my prospecting goals for the next 3 months? Who am I going to call? What sources am I going to implement? How many contacts am I going to make? What am I going to change? Okay. My skills improvement goals for the next 3 months. I'm going to create an in-office buyer presentation. I'm going to get my listing presentation right. I'm going to learn some scripts and dialogues. I'm going to learn some objection handlers. How am I going to improve my skills over the next 3 months? Mindset. What books am I going to read? What affirmations am I going to chant? What approach am I going to use to strengthen my mindset? If I could ask for a commitment from everybody here today, you know what I'd ask you to do? Turn off the news and never watch it again. Turn it off. If you want to be remember COVID, there were people that were infected and then there were carriers. Everybody's a carrier of bad news. Some people are infected with bad news. Stop watching it. If you want to have the best spring of your life, completely unplug from all that stuff and you'll feel better this spring. You'll be happier, okay? So let's unplug from that, right? Make a 90-day plan. 90-day plan. Production goals, prospecting goals, skills goals, mindset goals, and then I'd ask you to make some personal goals. Some little fun things you'd like to do or accomplish over the next 3 months, right? And I would ask you to put that all on one page, and I would read it and follow along with it every day for the next 3 months. I'd follow along with it. Hey, I'm going to take 3 listings. I'm going to make 4 sales. I'm going to put 150,000 in income in the pipeline. Follow along and stick to your plan. Okay. If you'll do that this time of year, you're going to win at a high level. Okay. And then the last thing I wrote down for today, and I'll open this up for any questions. Okay. So we have this belief, and we say this probably 100 times a year in coaching. We have this little saying: the market conditions out there, the economy out there, has nothing to do with you hitting your production goals. The market out there doesn't dictate if you hit your production goals. The only purpose of the market out there and the economy out there is to tell you what you have to do to hit your production goals. That's the only purpose. That's just an indicator. So right now, that market out there and the condition out there is indicating 2 things. We have to get better skilled with buyers, and we have to start generating listings by talking to a lot more people about listing property. The market is telling us, you better get better skills and you better talk to a lot more people about listing property. And if you do that, you'll hit all of your goals. Okay. So I know this is a strong message. I'm kind of like hitting you between the eyes with both barrels. It's just because this is your time, and I want to shock you into that. Okay. So if you take advantage of what we're seeing coming down the road, could you imagine? Like, I think about it like this: I will bet you the majority of your competitors in the marketplace will put their head directly underwater for the next 3 months. They'll literally dunk in the fear and watch the car crash mode for the next 3 months. If you can stay out of that, you'll make your money. Okay. Questions about any of this stuff? If you have any questions, you can type in the chat box. I've got one other little announcement I need to make. While you're typing, there's 2 things going on. We have an event that we do in Toronto. It's a short little hop for you guys. Yes, you have to have your passport, okay? But we have an event in Toronto coming up. What is it? The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of April, just here in a couple weeks. I got to tell you, whenever this kind of stuff happens in the industry, you need to listen to a guy like Mike Ferry, who has known how to do it for 50 years. Okay? He has taken us through all of this stuff for 50 years. You need to go see what he's going to ask you to do. So we have Toronto, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of April. Because you guys are all elite agents with Andrew's great generosity, the tickets are half price. So go to mikeferry.com and register for our event in Toronto coming up in April. Or option 2, we have our flagship event in Las Vegas, Nevada in July on the 16th through the 19th of July. This will be one of the most important real estate events on the planet this July because of everything that's going on. Okay. The brokers aren't going to talk about it. They're scared to death. Okay. The brokers aren't going to have the answers for all of it. They're going to try to figure it out. Mike Ferry and the Mike Ferry system will have the answers by July. Okay. So that event I would get to if my business life depended on it. And I would get there because it's going to be one of those events. All right. Question. Oh, good. I like this question. How do you bounce back from losing a listing? Okay. This is excellent. Professional athletes are trained how to have a short-term memory. If a quarterback throws an interception and he sits on the sideline going, he's going to throw another one. Okay. So professional athletes are taught how to have a short-term memory. Here's how I would do it. Okay. What did I do wrong to lose it? And I need you to expose this in writing. What did I do wrong, if anything, to lose the listing? And if you did something wrong, write it down. Okay. What did I learn from losing the listing about myself or people or whatever? What did I learn? What am I going to do differently going forward? This is all in writing. What am I going to change in the way I run my business going forward, if anything? Right? And then what will I do over the next 48 hours to reproduce it? Whenever I lose a listing, what did I do wrong? Gosh, I should have followed up. And man, I had the appointment. I was there. I should have closed harder for the signature. I shouldn't have went out that door without getting it signed. What am I going to do differently? I'm going to work on my objection handling scripts a little better, and I'm going to close a little better, right? What did I learn? I learned that you can't take anything for granted and you have to be razor sharp every time. And what am I going to do differently? I would come up with a 48-hour prospecting routine that gets the new one. Make sense? Okay. We can't win them all and we all lose some. So any other questions at all before I let you go enjoy a good Friday? Guys, thank you so much. James,
Thank you,
Andrew,
Tony. Thank
thank
you
you
so
guys.
much. It was
Anytime I
excellent
can
as
come and help,
always.
man, I'm happy.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for everybody to show up. I'll get you out, everybody who's on the call, every possible way to find a listing. I'll send that over to you as well. So, but Tony, thank you so much again. It was brilliant, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. Well, at least I did anyway.
Thank
So
you guys.
hope to
I
see you
appreciate the
soon.
time.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for showing up. We'll speak to you
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye.